Okay, what's going on with Ford electric vehicles? They're having a hard time selling them? Well, let's start out. We got two brand new Fords here. We're going to start with the Mustang Mach-E extended range. Fancy one, the MSRP is $59,980. And if you haven't guessed by now, I'm not really an electric car fan. I'd never pay 60 grand for a car, especially an electric car. I'm not a big electric car fan. And if you followed the pricing of them over time, you realize one thing. Ford's dropping the prices dramatically in the real world too, because before they used to have list prices and then they'd get 20, 50, 100 over. Some guys were paying over 100 grand for the Lightnings. They were just paying whatever because they wanted to get their hands on it. Well, those days are gone. For example, in the first quarter of 2024, Ford lost $130,000 for every electric vehicle they sold. Ford split into Ford Motor Company and Ford Electric Motor Company. They don't want to ruin the big company by having electric cars bring them down. So now they're separate legal entities. That tells you they're having a problem selling these things. I'll talk more about the truck in another video. But as for the Mustang Mach-E, the first thing you can tell is, even though it's got a pony on the front, there's the pony, you can see it's actually a compact SUV. There is so much competition in the compact SUV segment, it will make your head spin. I've seen people buy Mazdas instead of a Toyota. And I'd say, what, a Toyota RAV4s are really good. And they'd say, yeah, well, they were 15, 20 grand more than the Mazda, and the Mazda was perfectly fine for me. So there is so much competition. Even Toyota has shut down production of some of their smaller SUVs because they can't compete with the world market. And let's think, SUVs, right? Soccer moms, things like that. They want convenience. They want to be able to go all over the place. Range anxiety is a gigantic thing with an SUV. SUVs are made that way for what? Ultimate convenience. Take my wife's Matrix. That thing's 17 years old. It still gets 37 miles a gallon. It still looks new, right? It can go 500 something miles on a tank of gas. They estimate this to be about 300 miles, so quite a bit less. And of course, it's an electric car. You can't stop at a gas station and fill it up anytime you want. People that buy SUVs want convenience. They don't want to have to put their lifestyle into an electric car. Now, on the other hand, I know a 22-year-old who just bought one of these because he likes going fast, right? But let's think about it. SUVs are not notorious for being a vehicle that needs to go super fast. Now, let's face the facts. They're convenient. Families, you shouldn't be driving like a maniac with your kids in the back seat. So, the intended market of a compact SUV, people with kids and families, is kind of negated by making an electric car that's less convenient. The whole thing is more convenience, not less. Now, you gotta say, it's a nice looking car. They look a lot better than they did originally. Their style has increased. There's no doubt in that. So let's check inside, and it's got the old push button. Just realized first quarter of 2024, Ford sold about 9,500 of these. Tesla sold 390,000 of their electric cars the same quarter. They're competing with a company that sells a heck of a lot more. Now, as we get inside, sounds relatively solid. Now, power start, the Mustang goes. It's getting ready. Now, as we look around, I gotta say, you can do things with your fingers, or I like this because look, you can do the temperature with a dial too, so you don't have to keep pushing buttons. I like that. Now, that's a good design, I'll give them that. And unlike the Tesla where you gotta search forever for stuff, there's the fan, right? You can easily go low, high, simple thing to do. We'll put it on low so it doesn't make too much noise. Now, what I like is, look, it's got a regular dash, shows your speed and stuff, the speed limit outside, and as you can see, it does have a screen, and the screen is relatively intrusive on the flow of the dash. It's kind of like an add-on thing. But unlike a Tesla, you don't have to keep looking over here. You get the information in front of you like a regular car. And like a regular car, I gotta give it to Ford. Here's your turn signal. It's not some stupid button you gotta look for, right? Here's your wipers, just like a regular car, right? The locks are like a regular car. The power windows are like a regular car. I do say it's better designed for regular drivers than a Tesla. All in all, hey, it's set up more like a car. I like that aspect of it a lot more than a Tesla. You don't have to do the screen the whole time. You know, you got lights here, you want it bright, you hit them there. You want to squirt, you put your squirters on. Let's face the facts, it's a lot easier to mess around with some stupid screen. And the seats are pretty comfortable. Nice little slide there, like an old desk. You can charge your phone right there directly. And there's a reasonable amount of seat in the back. Look at those tiny little windows in the back, though. Little baby ones. Opaque sunroof. It's big, you know. So let's check the outside here. We'll see what kind of space the trunk has. There she goes. Got a reasonable amount of space. And if you put the seats down, you got a lot more space too. And of course, it closes itself. Now, being the Mach-E extended range, it's got dual motors, so it goes 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. That's pretty fast. Now, it's a lot torquier than it is horsepower. The GT has a lot more than the regular ones by far. You get in a regular one compared to this. This is much faster. So let's take this baby for a spin. Put it in reverse, and it's got the great backup, which you can see. You can also see the side. That's very handy because we are very close to the edge here. It's going to warn us because there's poles and everything in the way. You can see it's close to that pole, just warning us that we're very close to there. But with this, we know we're not going to hit anything other than the leaves that are sticking out. It's a good warning system, I gotta say. Then when you drive, you just put it in drive like any other car. Of course, it's super quiet. And it's got the usual speed limit in your area, what speed you're going. And you don't have to look over here. It's all in front, just like the turn signals. Look, regular car turn signals. None of this nonsense of having to reach over here like in a Tesla. It has regenerative braking. It's not as aggressive as a Tesla. It rides more like a normal car. And it corners quite well. You can pretend you're in a Mustang looking at the front. The view's kind of like it. Of course, the back's different, but got a nice smooth ride, I'll give it that. Cut all the trees down. They're building more houses here in Clarksville. So now comes the true test. We're coming up to our little drag strip here. We'll come to a complete stop because there's nobody behind us. Let's see what this baby can do. It's quick. But let me tell you, it is not Tesla quick. It's not even as fast as that Volvo that I tried out, the electric car. Because if you hit a Tesla like this goes, but it doesn't really throw you in the back of the seat. And truthfully, if I was in a souped up V8 Mustang with a gasoline engine, it would blow the doors off of this thing. Quick, but for what it is, it's not really all that quick. I realize this is the dual motor one, extended range, right? And like I said, watch, I'll step on the gas, and it goes, but it really doesn't throw me in the back seat. I'm kind of disappointed with the acceleration of this thing. I'll tell you that right now. I can see why these things aren't selling. We stop on it, it goes, but it's not super insane like a Tesla. If they're trying to sell these things to people that want all kinds of speed, I'm disappointed at what this thing does. Totally. It goes, but hey, it's not super fast. It is an SUV, and it doesn't have the get up and go that other electric cars I've driven. Like I say, that Volvo was a lot quicker than this thing. That's probably another reason these things aren't selling all that well. Realize that this thing is 2,000 pounds lighter than the F-150 Lightning electric truck that I'm gonna make a video on. It's all that much lighter. I expected it to be quicker. I mean, I step on the gas, it goes, but it doesn't throw you back in the seat. I can understand why this brand new car, you're gonna have a hard time selling these things. Not really. It handles the twisties fine, and it cruises, you know, well enough. You would just think that with two electric motors, this thing would have more brass balls than this thing has. It's just as underpowered as far as I'm concerned. So what's my conclusion? I am underwhelmed. I thought this thing was gonna be a lot faster than it was. It had some nice design features and stuff, but Ford's having a really hard time selling these. Now I know there's a lot of reasons why. Chevy Trailblazer. So let's start out with thinking, okay, it's a Chevy SUV. Well, wait a second, look. It's actually a Korean car. It's made by GM Korea, made in Korea because it's got a K for the first VIN number. Now, I bought it used with 15,000 miles for $16,500. Not a bad idea when you consider you get a nice little SUV for that amount of money. This is why this guy's smart. He's like me. Buy a nice used one. Why pay for the new one? It looks like a new one. It's low mileage. Plus, he's in New York. Garbage trucks might hit it. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Now, it is basically a Korean car. And when we look under the hood, you'll see something I'm not a big fan of. That is a little 1.3 liter. It's got a turbo, it's got a GDI. Well, everybody's going smaller right now. It is, for Americans, a small SUV. Driving it over here from New York, he was getting 41 miles a gallon. So for an SUV that's all-wheel drive, it's really good gas mileage. It's not a hybrid. Now, he does take care of his vehicles, because I told him, I said, make sure you change the oil filter every 5,000 miles. He changes it every 3,000 miles. So if he takes care of this thing, he's not pulling heavy loads, he's not driving like a lunatic, time will show if this thing is gonna hold up. Now, you're actually better getting the all-wheel drive version, whether you want all-wheel drive or not. Might sound stupid, but if you get the front-wheel drive, you get one of those stinking CVT transmissions, see? If you get the all-wheel drive, it is an actual 9-speed automatic transmission, a real transmission with gears. Normally I'd say, hey, don't get all-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive unless you absolutely need it, but in this case, you're better off because you're getting a real automatic transmission. And that is a big plus, because really, if you've ever driven it, a turbo little engine that's hooked up to a CVT transmission, when you floor it, it generally goes, and it doesn't go that fast. This has 9 speeds, and it's not bad at all. You might not know any of this when you buy a car. Hey, this is why I make these videos. You can learn, because let's say you went out and bought one with the CVT that was front wheel drive. Wears out when it's older and you're like, I should have never bought that thing. Well, I would have said in the beginning, get the all-wheel drive version. Look, the money isn't that different. He got this thing for $16,500 because he bought it used. You can save a lot of money. There's always a reason for people to get rid of cars. This doesn't look like it has any problems. I'm going to put my machine on and check it out for him. But you can always find some decent used cars that are in good shape, and they're always going to go for less than the new ones. Plus, he bought an extended warranty. Normally, I'm not a big extended warranty fan, but it is a Korean 1.3 liter little engine turbo GDI. Smart thing to buy a warranty. And he says when that warranty goes out, he's going to buy another warranty, as long as it's going to cover the engine and transmission. In this case, I'd say that's a smart thing to do. Right? Like if somebody's dumb enough to buy a Jaguar, I'd say you gotta buy the warranty on it, because if you don't, it's gonna bankrupt you. I mean, I'll give it one thing, with this tiny engine, boy, it's certainly gonna be easy to work on when it breaks. There's all kinds of working room on the thing. So let's look inside, and hey, it's got a really nice looking interior, comfy bucket seats. Let's walk around. I mean, it's a beautiful looking car, I'll give it that. Let's check out the back seat. And look, this seat's back. There is a lot of room back here. These back seats are comfortable. Got a nice armrest with cup holders. Little trunk in the back. And of course, when you flip the seats down, you can carry quite a bit of stuff inside here. And as we close the door, sounds like the Koreans built it pretty solid. Okay, it's got beautiful rims. I mean, check them out. So let's get the fancy computer out and see if you got to take it for a ride or not. So here we go, it's plugged in. You can see it's already detected the vehicle. Do a standalone diagnostics. It's already read the VIN, so now it's going to decode it. It is a 1.3 liter. We can do a full topology scan, so that's what we're going to do. Now it's only got 30-something thousand miles on it. And while it's doing its scan, it's rather well set up. It's a nice looking little car inside. Now it doesn't have a sunroof. Great, I hate them. They just leak as time goes on. Right, it does have a real automatic transmission. Now it's got what I hate, electronic parking brake, but they all have that now. See, you can turn traction control off, lane assist. Got no trouble codes at all. He'll be happy to hear that. So let's start this baby up. And realize even though it's getting 41 miles a gallon on the highway, it's not a hybrid, it's a conventional gasoline engine, so a lot simpler. So let's look at some serious information. Engine control module. Remember, black is good, red's bad. Let's see how this shapes up. It's good and good gas mileage. He says it's running fine, but you never know when you buy a used car. Look at all the different data you can look at, but we're going to look at all of them. Okay, 5-volt reference, almost perfect. 5.01 volts, both of them, so that's working perfectly fine. Shows you the AC system's working fine, the pressure. You get a lot of data on these modern cars. See, everything's black good so far. We'll look at some of the information to analyze it. The immobilizer information, so people can't steal it. Now we can see the short-term fuel trim is moving around a little. Here we go. The short-term fuel trim is -1 or 0. Of course, 0 is perfect, so it's pretty close to perfect. which I should expect. It's only got 30,000 miles on it. I mean, an awful lot. You can see all the 5-volt reference, 5.01. That's almost perfect. It's only off what? 1/100th, so that's absolutely nothing. We're still in the A's, baby. You want to laugh? Just watch this. La, la, la. Look at the data. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's a good thing these things are automated, baby, because analyzing all of this stuff. You think the German cars used to be complicated? Hey, they all are now. This is all new data. Look, we're going, we're going, we're going. This is even more than any German car I've ever seen. Look at the data stream. Finally, we get to the end. Talking about the turbocharger. Showing that, yes, a turbocharged GDI injected car is very complex. I hope that they build these right. Now, I haven't seen a particular problem with them yet, but it is a 1.3 liter turbo GDI. You got to keep that oil clean and don't overheat the engine. So here we go for the road test. You can see it's got a decent backup camera. You know, nothing outrageous. It's a discounted car. It's a little economy car, but you can see quite well. Doesn't have all those fancy views and everything. You can put that in, you can take it away, and it curves like the other ones. It does a pretty good job. It shows I'm not going to hit the tree that's behind me. 1.3 liter engine. Doesn't shake at all. It's well balanced. We'll go over the big water hump here. See how it does there? No problem. It's relatively high up in the air, so it's not going to drag anything. And here we go on the worst roads in the nation, Rhode Island. We'll see how it rides. It's a small wheelbase. It's not going to be a totally cushy ride, but it absorbs the bumps fine. It's probably 50% smoother than our Toyota Matrix, but then again, the Toyota Matrix is 18 years old, and this is only 3 years old. So here we come up to the big road. We'll see how this little 1.3 liter turbo goes. Granted, it does have a 9-speed automatic transmission. That's a lot of gears. Nobody to the left, everybody to the right. Here we go. Give it some gas. Not race car speed. Very smooth shifts, and you know, we got going 50 miles an hour pretty quick. So it's an automatic transmission, 9-speed, and not a CVT. You step on the gas, it goes into passing gear and it takes off. It doesn't just go and not go anywhere. Here we go, down by the ocean here. Handle's nice. Now you hear a lot of noise because he's got a lot of stuff that's rattling. That's not the car. That's just drinks with ice and stuff in it. The car's actually relatively quiet. And as we take this corner a little fast, nice handling vehicle. I always like these little SUVs. It's kind of the size of my wife's Matrix. And it's fun to drive around. No problem going uphill. Hey, pretty zippy uphill for a little 1.3 liter. So what do I think about this Trailblazer? Well, if you know anything about General Motors, they were never really that good at making small cars. Chevy Vega, for one example amongst many. But this is a Korean car. It's not made in the United States. The Koreans are making small cars for quite some time. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of GDI turbos. You saw my data stream. All those hundreds of bits of data. Even though I'm not a big fan of extended warranties, I would advise buying an extended warranty from a company that you do a little research, find out that they actually will pay out when there's problems. Because if that little 1.3 liter engine with that highly complex 9-speed automatic transmission broke, it's going to cost you a fortune. Here we got a brand new 2025 Nissan Rogue. It's a rental car, so the owner doesn't care what I say about it. He said he'd never buy one. You're going to find out what you get if you buy one. This is Nissan's biggest seller. This particular one was made in Smyrna, Tennessee, just down the road outside of Nashville. To begin with, it's a nice looking vehicle. Sounds reasonably solid built. Now, as we look under the hood, I can tell you, I don't like it. I wouldn't buy one because it's a VC turbo. Now, it gives it more zip. If you're going to rent a car, maybe you want a turbo because you're renting the thing. You're not buying it. As you take some of this plastic crap off, there's a lot of technology in it with that turbo. Stuff that over time is going to wear out faster. Okay, it's a little bitty 1.5 liter engine. It does get good gas mileage. He just said he only used a gallon of gas to get here. This thing gets 37 miles a gallon on the highway. So, good gas mileage, but personally, I'd be worried that you have a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. Vehicle this size, you can see it's a pretty big vehicle. It's got a lot of room, but it's a tiny engine in a big vehicle. But as I said, if you're renting it, do you really care? You want to have a little zip and you want to get good gas mileage. So what if the engine wears out later? It's not your car. You don't own it. Now, this does have a CVT transmission. That's how it gets better gas mileage. But realize, this is a 1.5 liter, 3-cylinder engine. Not even 4, 3. These things are probably going to wear out. Now, as for the CVT transmission itself, the first Rogues had horrible CVTs that blew up all the time. As far as I've seen, the last generation that they're making now, 3rd generation, the CVTs have held up much better than the early ones. But still, 3-cylinder turbo CVT, it's kind of a recipe for disaster from my experience of working on cars for 57 years. The guy running it thought, oh, well, it's an automatic. It doesn't have a CVT because you can shift gears. But that's fake shifting. You can change the ratio, but there's no gears to actually shift. Look inside, he's shorter than me. Hey, look, it's got electric seats at least, and my butt's getting warm, so it's got heated seats too. You can put it in manual mode. It's got paddle shifters, so you can shift it, but you're not actually shifting gears because it doesn't have any gears, but you are changing the gear ratio. CVT just means it's variable across a wide range. There's no gears, but you are actually changing the ratio because the tachometer will go up and down because it's changing. It's just a completely different system. And as such, this system that's shiftable, it's much better than the early garbage that Nissan put in these things when they first came out. Now, who knows? This is a 2025. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, they'll all fall apart. I don't know. But so far, they're holding up better than the earlier CVTs did. Now, like I said, this is their big seller. Okay, the start button was hidden behind the sparkly noise. Kind of a crazy place to put it. We'll get rid of the wind noise, roll the windows up, and we'll turn the heat off. We don't need heat anymore. It does have the electric parking brakes. Kind of annoying shifter. You gotta really feel around. There we go. That's in drive. We'll put it back in park. You can see just driving around, 38.3. Pretty good for just driving around. That's not highway, that's city driving. You see VC turbo. Now, to me, that's something I'd never want to have. The turbo's bad enough, extra pressure wears things out, but the VC stands for variable compression. Nissan's one of the few companies in the world that makes these crazy engines. There's 3 cylinders in this case, but pistons can go up various distances. Super high for high compression, lower for lower compression. It is all controlled by the computer, having the piston connected to piston rods that are cantilevered. So they have various places they can move in, which means this thing is so complex. Or when they do break, and they do break, nobody knows how to rebuild these things. Compare this to, say, a RAV4 or a Camry hybrid. They have a regular Atkinson cycle engine with regular pistons and piston rods. They're not variable compression. They get better gas mileage than this thing gets. I've seen them get 51 miles a gallon. So, the bet that Nissan put out on these things, that variable compression was going to dramatically increase the gas mileage, really didn't work out that well. Over their conventional engine, there was like a 3-4% better gas mileage, which is practically nothing. It's a level of technology that hardly anybody else is using, but Nissan made it, so now they're putting it in a 3-cylinder engine. And to me, that's a recipe for disaster in the future, because believe you me, nobody knows how to rebuild these things when they do break down. Of course, there's an insane level of computer technology that runs it. When is it high compression? When is it low compression? So, let's take it for a spin and see how it actually operates. Not the greatest, as you can see. I'd like it a little brighter myself. It is sunny today, so it's not like there's no light out. Hey, for a 3-cylinder engine, though, it idles pretty good. It's pretty quiet, I gotta say. It's well put together. See how it handles. That's got decent handling for an SUV. More like car handling. It's not too top heavy. Braking system works fine. It's a new car. I mean, it should. It's only got 2,087 miles on it. It's a rental car. Got a turn signal you can actually hear. We'll go slow to give these people some room. And we're looking behind. There's nobody behind us, so we can stop up ahead, see how it takes off. I mean, it is a 3-cylinder engine, but it does have variable compression and a turbocharger. So we'll come to a stop. And here we go. Not bad for a 3-cylinder engine. especially once the turbo and the variable compression hits in. We'll slow down a little and see how kind of passing it has. We'll take her down to 40, then we'll floor it. All right, let's see what it does. Not bad, not bad. It got to 60 quick enough. It certainly can keep up with traffic. It handles quite well, and it has intelligent cruise control and a pretty basic auto driving. I don't trust those things. I keep my hand on the wheel myself. I don't trust those systems, but it's got a pretty basic one on it. In an SUV, it is relatively high up in the air. You wouldn't have to worry about flood water. You got a nice view, I gotta say. I don't see any particular blind spots looking around. It's pretty well thought out in terms of its ergodynamics. You got nice little sides. You fit in quite well. It's nothing like the Avalon I just tested out that was really comfy, but it's comfy enough. And I feel pretty comfy taking these curves. I'm going well over the speed limit on the curve, and it has no problem holding on. Well, that was a strange noise. The braking system made a strange noise. I don't think I'd like that. Oh, it went. No, it didn't make it that time. Drive mode you can mess around with. Sport, standard, eco. We'll put it back on sport. Got a nice smooth ride. For a 3-cylinder engine, nicely set up. I like the little steering wheel. Got a little rounded part in the bottom here. I don't know what this tray's good for. You put anything in there, it'd fall out when you turn it. I guess that's style tray. Start, stop, and it didn't really jerk too much when it turned back on. It was a pretty smooth transition, even though I hate start, stop. It wears your engine out faster. And the last thing you want is more engine wear on a 3-cylinder variable compression turbocharged engine. Hey, I'd rent this car. Good gas mileage and zippy, you know? Can't say I'd buy one. I don't know how long it's going to last, but hey, decent rental car, I'll say that. And the corners quite well. Watch out for the man in the green jacket. Good thing he's got a green jacket. Walking like that, he needs to be seen. Here's how we go into twisties here. Hey, decent handling. It's a little bit tall. I can feel a little bit more lean than I'd care for. Well, it made that noise again. I think it's coming from the CVT transmission. A little groan. Yeah, it's got a little groan to it. That doesn't bode well for the future. If it's making noise already with only 2,091 miles on it. Okay, so what do I think? I think, hey, I would definitely rent this car. It's zippy, it gets good gas mileage, fun to drive, it handles quite well. But it has 3 things that I hate in cars. A CVT transmission, a turbocharger, and variable compression 3-cylinder engine. So, I would not buy one personally. I know those things wear out. And hey, the CVT transmission's ready making that noise when you slow down. So that doesn't bode well. But would I rent one? Yes. Would I buy one? No. Now, if you're not the type of person that wants to keep a car a really long time, maybe you'd be happy with a car like this. But if you're the type of person that wants to go 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles, many years, I guarantee you, either the engine, the transmission, the turbocharger, or all 3 will eventually break down and cost you a small fortune to repair. And in the case of the engine, I don't know anybody who knows how to rebuild these things. So it'd probably be pretty much end of car if the engine goes out. So you can make a wise decision if you're thinking about buying one instead of, like myself and the man who rented this, merely renting the car. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.